Genghis Khan conquered half the known world. Millions feared his name. Emperors sent tribute at the mere rumor of his approach. And when he died, his final command was this: "Bury me in an unmarked grave." No monument, no gold, no name carved in stone. The man who could have demanded the grandest tomb in history chose to disappear into the earth like a fallen leaf, returning to the forest floor. Why? The Bhagavad Gita speaks of a warrior standing between two armies, paralyzed, not by fear of death, but by attachment to outcomes, to legacy, to the idea that what he built must last. Krishna's answer cuts through like a blade. You have a right to perform your actions, but never to the fruits of those actions. This is the teaching of Nishkama Karma, action without clinging, not indifference to life, but freedom from the desperate need to be remembered by it. The ancient voice is not asking us to stop building. It is asking us to release our grip on what the building means about us. Genghis Khan rose from nothing. As a young man, he was captured, enslaved, abandoned. He built an empire not from inherited wealth, but from sheer will, loyalty, and an almost terrifying clarity of purpose. By the time of his death, his domain stretched across vast stretches of Asia and into Europe, the largest contiguous land empire the world had seen. And yet, somewhere in that long arc of conquest, something shifted in him. He had watched cities fall. He had seen how quickly the powerful become dust. He had witnessed men who built monuments to themselves. Those monuments outlasted the men, but the men were still gone. The stone remembered nothing. The earth received everyone equally. His instruction for an unmarked grave was not humility, performed for an audience. There was no audience. It was a private reckoning. A warrior who had spent his life accumulating, choosing at the very end to let it all go. The grave was never found. He kept his word. He dissolved back into the mountain soil of his homeland, nameless, as he had once been. And in that silence, everything shifted. The first lesson is this: legacy is a story we tell ourselves to avoid facing impermanence. We build careers, reputations, social media presences, all of it quietly whispering, "I was here. I mattered. Don't forget me." There is nothing wrong with wanting to contribute, but when the need to be remembered becomes the engine of our choices, we are no longer living. We are performing for a future audience that may never arrive. The second lesson runs deeper. The Stoics called it memento mori, remember that you will die. Not as a morbid threat, but as a clarifying fire. Marcus Aurelius wrote that even the most celebrated emperors are now forgotten, their names known only to scholars. He wrote this while ruling Rome. He used the thought not to despair but to ask, if none of this lasts, what is worth doing right now for its own sake? Genghis Khan's unmarked grave is a physical answer to that question. Strip away the monument, and what remains? Only what you actually did. Only how you actually lived. The third lesson is the quietest. The earth does not rank its dead. The mountain that received a great conqueror received him the same way it receives a sparrow. There is a strange peace in that equality if you are willing to feel it rather than fight it. Here is one practice to carry into your day. Pick something you are currently doing, a project, a relationship, a habit, and ask honestly, am I doing this because it matters to me or because of how it will look? Not to judge yourself, just to see clearly. Then, for one day, do that same thing as if no one would ever know you did it. No record, no recognition, no story to tell later. Just the action, clean and complete in itself. Notice what changes. Notice what falls away. Notice what remains and whether what remains feels lighter or more true. This is what the ancient teaching points toward. Not the erasure of effort, but the purification of it. Action rooted in presence, not performance. A river does not carve a canyon to be remembered. It simply flows following its nature, and the canyon appears. The river never stops to admire what it made. Genghis Khan, at the end of a life that shook the world, chose to flow back into the earth without a marker. Whether that was wisdom, weariness, or something beyond both, we cannot know. But the image remains. The most powerful man of his age, asking only for dirt and silence. Perhaps the deepest power is not the kind that demands to be seen. Perhaps it is the kind that no longer needs to be. Subscribe to LifeVeda for daily wisdom that transforms your life.